everybody, and welcome once again to yet another amazing episode of Stardom Patrol, your number one celebrity flag stopover right here at Elja Africa. Now, on today's show, I have something really interesting in store for you. I'm sure this is a guest you probably want to hear about her story. And for the first time, we have an international guest. I don't know if she's international, but she will let us know. And without wasting much time, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce my guest for the day.
Hi everybody, my name's Dolly Mungai, but everyone calls me Dolly because obviously Dolly Quinter is fairly long, 13 letters, so we've narrowed it down to 5, so everyone calls me Dolly.
So we go with Dolly.
Yeah, we go with Dolly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dolly.
Yeah, exactly, Dolly. Yeah.
All right, so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
See you.
Thank you for having me.
You look amazing.
I can say the same about you. You look great.
Thank you so much. So maybe we get to know you. We start with the introduction. Maybe tell our viewers where you were born, how family basically. Yeah.
Okay, well, I was born in Kenya, but I immigrated to London when I was 18 months. So I've lived in England majority of my life. Yeah, I'm 32 now, so that's practically all my life. Not
Can
all
you
of.
Remember where you were born in Kenya?
Gashiye.
Gashiye.
Yeah,
Gashiye.
I'm from Gashiye.
Gashiye. You're a girl from Kiambu.
I'm a girl from Kiambu, but specifically Gashiye. So I'm the only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters. And what else can I tell you? I run my own personal shopping business. Some people don't quite understand what personal shopping is. Personal shopping is basically I shop for the 1%, and what I do is I help them get their closets and their wardrobe intact. So I'll go to their houses, wherever it may be. They could have a house in Vienna, France. I go to their houses, I go through their closet, I take out things and I'll be like, don't wear this, wear that. And I replenish their closet.
Is that somehow related to being a personal stylist of someone?
Yeah, it is quite similar, but the only thing is with sometimes with a personal stylist, you might need stock. Well, I don't have stock. I sell a service, not a product.
Not a product. Well, let's go back to Gashiye.
Oh, let's go back to I have no recollection of Gashiye, to be honest, because I left when I was 18 months.
18 months. So you just hear stories that your mom tells you?
Yeah, fairly hear stories that my mum tells me. But you know, when you're 18 months, you're very unfamiliar with the environment and so on and so on. But there was a particular time I did come back to Kenya, and I went to school here because my folks didn't want me to lose a sense of identity. They didn't want me to because I've lived in England for so long, they didn't want me to forget where I'm from, and just basically.
So when was that, when you came back?
Yeah, when I was 16 to 18. 16 to 18.
So you relocated, you went to London when you were 18 months?
Yeah.
And you came back when you were 16?
Yeah, but when I came back, it was only for educational purposes. So I went.
Did you go to school when you came back?
I went to St. Patrick's. I went to St. Patrick's, and I was there for 3 years. But on school holidays like Christmas, Easter, I'd always go back to London.
So when you came to study here, were you in high school or?
I was in high school.
You were in high school.
Yeah,
so
I did.
They decided to bring you back to Kenya for your high school education.
Yeah. It was It was only 3 years. It was a great experience because if I didn't come back, I wouldn't really know my country as much as I do. Yeah. You know, you when you go somewhere and you've lived there since a child, you lose a sense of identity. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't know. That's why I brushed up on my mother tongue, my Swahili.
It's a little ish.
It's not a little jumbo, but it's not great. It's not great. Yeah.
So the 3 years when you were in Kenya, maybe you can take us through the experience, your learning experience when you were in Kenya. Was there any culture shock for you?
Oh, massively, a massive culture shock. Yeah. I'll give you a prime example. This morning, as I was coming here, I told my uncle I don't have time to talk, and my cousin said, "You can't say that. That's rude."
Yeah.
But for me, I'm being honest. It's not. Yeah, I don't have time. I don't have time. So the culture shock still shocks me now, where I feel how can I put this?
As Africans, you need to give your parent time. You can't tell
adults,
you
don't have time.
No, it's not allowed.
I know, but then
especially being a Kikuyu.
I know, exactly. So I'm still fighting with the culture difference even now, because like I said, I've lived in England, and when you're in England, you have a sense of way of expressing yourself. So expressing yourself is key. So if I don't like something, or I'm uncomfortable with something, I would say I don't like this, or I'm uncomfortable. We're taught not to suppress our emotions. Yeah. Or maybe I'm taught not to suppress, because my mum's a psychologist. So she always says, say how you feel. So I always find that, especially when I'm here, I got to kind of tiptoe and really like think before I speak.
Because you might speak something and then you find yourself offended.
Yeah, I'm sure I've offended many, but if you're watching this, I do apologize. It's not intentional. Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to now your culture shock. You've come to Kenya. Now you have been hit by culture shock. How was the education for you?
Education. I found it was very academic and not practical. So even though I did IGCSE, we did a lot of educational stuff, not things I personally think that prepare you for real life. Do you know what I mean?
I think our Kenyan-based education has a lot of that.
Yeah, it's
a lot of theory.
Yeah, there's no practicality. You're not taught basic things, how much money you need to have a mortgage, what you need to do to make sure your finances, how to manage money. So you're dealt with all this stuff. So when you go out in the real world, you figure it out. You're trying to figure it out. So I don't think a lot of things are very practical. I think it's all like cramming and being. If you don't get an A, then that means you're not smart. Where realistically, I beg to differ. I think we should have a lot more practical stuff. We should do a lot more practical how to build relationships, because people work with people. How to communicate, how to be able to navigate in certain situations, how to be able to voice your opinion, and these things are going to be more important because certain times certain men and women could be in abusive situations, and because they don't know how to voice their opinion, they weren't taught that. They're only taught theory. They're quiet and they suppress their emotions. So a lot of things come about. People start to drink alcohol. People start to self-destruct. So I do think that was a major culture shock. So if I didn't want to do something, I always said I don't want to do it. If I didn't like something, I said I didn't like it. Well,
I'm sure the reception was negative from your teachers.
I remember vaguely when I refused to do to sing the national anthem.
Really? Why did you refuse to sing the national anthem?
6 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
No, we got to give it time. We got to give ourselves time to refresh and be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I refused. I said I weren't doing it. So I gave my heart.
You were supposed to go for parade?
Yeah, because imagine
at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock. So I said, no. I said no. I ain't going. I'm not going. I said I'm not going.
So you remained in the hostel or in
I remained in the dorms, and then I got into a lot of trouble because they rang my mom and all the way in England and said, you know what, Dolly has refused to come to preps and she won't sing the national anthem. And I said, I don't see. By the way, don't get me wrong. I love being Kenyan more than anything. I'm so proud to be Kenyan, and that's why I speak my mother tongue fluently. I'm so proud to be Kenyan. But there's just certain things I did not see any use in.
Any use of them?
No, I didn't see. I do not waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and doing certain things.
You are lucky you wake up at 6. Also, we used to wake up at 4.
4. So what time?
4 o'clock in the morning.
So what time do you go to bed?
Preps. You wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go for preps, you come back, and then you go for breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yes. And then you come back to class. And when you go to bed, you go to bed at 10 o'clock in the night.
No.
Yes.
Oh wow! It sounds military to me.
That's how we've been brought up.
It sounded. So that was really hard, and also the food. Even though I'm used to, I'm used to eating certain things. So the food that we were given, in school wasn't my diet. Like, I give you a prime example. I'm not one to eat sausages or like bacon, and I think certain schools give kids that because they think it's like a treat. But for me, that's not how.
What do you have for breakfast?
I would have at home. Usually, I'd have oats. I'll have like a granola bowl, or I'd have fruit. I've always been like encouraged to eat healthily by my mom. Always encouraged to eat health. So the things that they gave us in school, I always thought it was just like. No, I always found it a bit too fat. Not that it's bad to eat a sausage, but I don't think on a regular basis we should have sausages in the morning. No, we should be taught to have a balanced diet, and things like that didn't come about. Like having sausages in the morning, like loads of bread. It's not good, you know, because we're young for a certain period of time, but our digestive system goes down and down and down. So we have to like make sure that we're giving ourselves like great food, if you know what I mean. That's what I mean about preparing us for real life, because when you're in school you think you should have sausages in the morning where you shouldn't. It's not healthy.
It's not healthy.
Do you get what I mean? It's not healthy. So things like that were quite a culture shock for me, because it was.
How about the education now? The education aspect where the teacher comes to class, teach you. How was it for you? The transition from the UK to here now?
Well, I have to say, discipline in Kenya is a lot more intense than it is in England. A lot more intense. Like when our teacher walks in the class, you don't have to stand. No, you don't. No. No.
And in Kenya, you have to stand and acknowledge the teacher.
A teacher, which I think is great. A teacher is really well respected. In England, they're respected, but if a teacher is teaching something and you disagree and you think their formula doesn't make sense, you can debate your point. But in Kenya, you can't. Whatever the teacher says, if the teacher says the sky is orange, you've just got to go with it. So that took me some time to be able to adjust and say like, like I can't really argue with my teachers.
So now after the 3 years, the 3 years you have studied, and then now you decided to go back. Why did you decide to go back and not stick?
Because that was home. That's where like my mum is. That's where like, you know, where my friends were. That's where I used to go on holidays. Obviously I do have family here, but England was home. Do you know? That's it. That's where my bedroom was. You know, that's where like, you know, I learned how to.
Whenever you would close school, you would go back.
I'll always go back to England. I'll always go back to England. Like I said priorly, that I'm the only child, so you can only imagine how difficult it was for my folks. That was like miles away. So that was hard for them.
So now after you went back to England after you cleared your school, what did you do after that?
I always knew that I was never going to pursue higher education.
Really?
I always knew that I was never going to. For me personally, I knew it was a waste of time for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because one, I knew that I've never really been academic. I've always been, I don't know if you know, but I have a condition called dyslexia where it affects coordination, and sometimes you might like struggle to identify numbers and letters. But with dyslexia, that's another thing why I think like Kenya's education system is so narrow, because they expect everybody to be academic, where everybody in this room is not the same. You and I, we know if we were given something to like a puzzle to figure out, we would do it differently because we're different. But they expect every child to be academic. We can't all be lawyers and doctors. We all, do you know what I mean? Some of us are artists. Some of us are creative. You know what I mean? So I'm not going, that's again what I'm telling you, where the culture difference comes in. I am not going to do something for the benefit of somebody else, because I wake up to me every morning, I go to sleep with me every morning. My biggest commitment is myself. So I'm not going to go and pursue higher education to make everybody else happy. Well, I know it's a waste of time. Do you get what I mean? So where I think in Kenya, if you don't go and pursue higher education, you seem like you seem like you're a failure. Where to be honest with you, I have people that work with me. One was a banker. I have no experience in banking, but I'm able to bring him on my team. You know, I have another lady that she used to work in media. I have no experience in media, but I'm able to bring her on my team. So do you get what I mean? Sometimes being academic is not everything. Some of the, like I was saying, the condition I have, dyslexia, some of the greatest minds I've ever lived on our planet, like Steve Jobs, one of us uses an iPhone here. He was dyslexic. He wasn't necessarily academic. You know, we focus so much on being academic in Kenya, where indirectly we kind of let down children because we force them to do something that is not in their capability. Do you know what I mean? That's not in their case. If your son is great at football, why don't you push him in that direction? Because that you know what I mean? That's what he's good at. If your daughter is good at doing hair, why don't you push her in that direction instead of telling her to go and do computer science? And then she goes and she can't because you know we live in a world today, right? Where people can make money out of anything if you apply yourself. Do you know what I mean? You have kids on YouTube that just advertise toys and make millions. You have people that sell hair and you know are able to live a comfortable life. Are people that do eyelashes, people that do makeup for films and TV. That's what I'm trying to say. Like we need to not narrow things down to just being academic and I feel that's why so many young people in Kenya drink alcohol and do so many other things because they feel inadequate. You know, you feel like, oh, okay, my mom, she wanted me to go to uni, I couldn't go, I wasn't getting the grades, I've let her down, and then your mom's mad at you because you didn't get you didn't perform, but then she's angry because she's maybe sold a cow somewhere or done something to help you go. But that's not your capability. So then it even brings a drift from parents and children where they don't have great relationships. That's why I decided to get straight. Decided to get straight into fashion. And as soon as I turned 20, I worked on my business, and I've been doing my business ever since. Well, I've traveled to over 53 countries.
You've mentioned the condition you have. When did you realize you have that condition? How did you know that you might be having a condition?
Okay, so basically, when I was younger, I'd say like in year 6, 7. That's maybe class 4 or 5 in Kenya, right? Equivalent. I was really disruptive in class. Very disruptive. I never listened. I was always very fidgety. I wouldn't if I'm asked a question, my concentration will be it's not there. So it went on for some time, but my behavior got a lot worse. My behavior in the classroom got a lot worse. So my mum was, my teachers would always tell my mum, like, oh, you know what, Dolly's very disruptive in class. Like, we think she has like behavior problems, right? And then my mum would always say like, no, there's something that's just not right in school, because when she's at home, she's like, okay, she's very calm, very collective, very articulate. So there's something that's just not right. So you see, that's what I mean, the power of like having a parent that's supportive, because my mum could have sided with the teacher, and imagine where I would be now. You know, I would have no confidence. I'll be doubtful of myself. I would think I'm a failure. But she didn't. She was like, you know what, dolls, we're gonna figure this out together, because there's clearly a problem, but we're gonna figure it out. So she took me to an education specialist and a behavior specialist, and they were like, no, she doesn't have problems with behavior. And then they diagnosed me with dyslexia. So basically all the things that my other peers were the pace that they were learning at, I was just a little bit more slower. But it didn't mean that they were any cleverer than me. It didn't mean it did not mean that they would be any successfuler than me. It didn't, you know what I mean? That did not define me as a person. It just meant academically, I just wasn't on the same pace, on the same page as them. But it didn't mean that, you know, like, that's it, that I'm never going to be able to do certain things. Do you get what I mean? So my mum was really supportive. She was very supportive. She gave me the love and attention and care that I need. And then that's what I think a lot of parents should do. Instead of pinpointing their children to like, if there's something wrong and beating them or discouraging them, I should try and find out what the problem is.
So how, after you went and you were diagnosed with the condition, how was it like for you? How basically the therapy or the treatment process?
There's no treat. This is what really frustrates me as well about being in Kenya, right?
Okay.
Like the how we see everybody the same. And it's so wrong to see. I cannot see you the same as me because we are not the same. Do you know what I mean? We're not the same. And I cannot expect you to compete with this lady here because you are not the same. Do you know what I mean? So as soon as you are told in Kenya that you are not academic, it's like, that's it. And especially like for me, having dyslexia where it affects you with coordination, reading numbers and so on, I'm okay with it. Do you know, I'm okay with it. I'm very okay because I'm not trying to impress you. Very okay to say, I need help. What does that number say? I'm very okay. But you can only imagine the man who's 50 or the woman who's 65 who's lived with that condition all her life,
knowing he or she is not smart.
She's not smart. Knowing he or she can't fill out an application form properly. Knowing he or she can't tell the time properly. And then everyone's put her in a box. So can you imagine you live a life of unfulfillment. You live a life of doubt. And you imagine like that's what causes depression and that's what causes like mental illness because you start to doubt yourself. And that's why I'm saying like it's so important as Kenyans that we stop putting people in boxes because it's just so wrong. If a child is, because we always think like disability or conditions are physical. If you don't have an arm or or you can't talk, that's your disability. But there's so many more. People have mild autism. People have like Tourette's where they can't control their speech. They say things that they shouldn't do. And we should be more accommodating because it can happen to anyone. You could have a child and your child could have a condition. Do you know what I mean? And your child's child could have a condition. So if we don't get better now, it's not just for us, it's for the people that are there after us. How are their lives going to be?
Is the condition genetic?
Yeah, it's genetic. I'll give you a prime example. My grandfather, if not one of the most successfulest people I've ever met in my life, could not read or write.
Really?
Could not read or write.
Because of the condition?
Yeah, could not read or write. But the things that my grandfather accomplished were major. So that's what I mean. They were major. And like I said, Einstein, who is like the father of like illusion and time, he had dyslexia. But just imagine if his parents told him that he was stupid or you can't do it. So all the things that we do now, like watches, looking at time, they all come from Einstein. Do you get what I mean? So it's important that we just let people be who they are and not put people in boxes.
Yeah, okay. So you've gone back to England now. You've decided you're not pursuing higher education.
Yeah.
What are you venturing into now?
So I've always been a child that loved fashion. So when kids would play with toys, I'd always go to the magazine section and look through magazine and read magazine. So I've always been into like clothes and fashion. So follow me on What Did Dolly Wear for your latest fashion tips. And I just always knew that I wanted to get into fashion. So I worked in a store called Harrods, which is like the biggest store in London. There's only one store like that. And then I just built a good clientele base, and then I just left and I started my own business. But I always knew what I wanted to do. I always knew that I wanted to do something with fashion and travel. So I combined the two.
So you've been doing fashion ever since then till now?
Yeah. So I've only had, like I said, I'm 32 now. I've only been employed in 2 places my whole life. So I was very, very, very sure of what I wanted to do. Very sure.
You started your own business at what age?
At 20.
20. Your own business.
My own business.
So you've been in your own business for 12 years now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I've been doing my own business, and then that's exactly going back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the tools that my mom specifically taught me, people skills, how to navigate, how to manage money, you know, how to like understand the power of money. Because you know, like some people always say, oh, you know, I wish I had loads of money. But even if they had that loads of money, they don't know how to manage it. They will have no clue how to manage it. So it will probably in 3-4 years time, the money will be gone because they don't have any money skills. So those are the skills that I was taught, being able to like, you know, like be able to like manage a team, be able to like set out tasks, and to also identify that I might not be able to do something, but there's somebody out there that can do it, and I can bring them on my team. So those are the skills that I learned, that, you know, like you can't do something all by yourself. You know, it's like a bike, you know, it has 2 wheels, and all without one wheel, that bike doesn't move.
So have you ever sat down and maybe thought of coming up with something that will create awareness about the condition that
most definitely. That's one reason why I've come back. I want to come back to Kenya, because I feel obviously
you have plans of coming
back. I have plans of coming back to. I feel like it's really important for me to just like spread that gospel so people know that it's so important. No matter how many times you beat your child to be academic, if they cannot do it, they cannot do it. They can't do it. It's okay for your child not to be academic. It doesn't mean that they're a failure in life or they won't succeed. So I want to bring that awareness. And also, like I said to you before, people that have dyslexia, if they don't get the right support that they need, they could grow, because obviously it's a condition that it doesn't, you know, it's not like losing weight. You can lose weight or something, no, or you can gain weight. You will always have it. So I want to be able to even help adults if they need to, like, to be able to find jobs, you know, or if they can't like fill out application forms, or they can't do certain things, you know. And with dyslexia, 4 out of 10 people have dyslexia and they don't know. I'm very certain there's somebody that you know that he has dyslexia, and they probably like they're avoiding, they try to avoid certain things, like maybe texting you, they try not to text, or they try not to like do certain things with you to avoid the situation.
I think that's something that many of us Kenyans, we need to understand. We need to absorb and accommodate such people in our society. And also our education. You said we need to be more practical. To be more practical with the life skills, basically life skills. But I think we now have a new system. It's called the CBC. Many of our kids right now are being taught life skills from a young age. Right now, I don't know if you've seen their children in school who are actually being taught how to knit. Some are being taught how to sell things in the market. Some are being taught how to. So I think we are slowly coming there. We're slowly headed there. Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's amazing. That's amazing because it gives everybody a chance to make it in life.
Exactly. So we can end on that note.
Do you
have anything else you feel like you can add to our audience?
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes.
And thank you.
And where can they find you? Maybe if there's some who want to come and know more about the condition.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe who want to know more about your fashion.
What did Dolly wear? And if any email inquiries, you can always email me on whatdiddollywear@gmail.com, and also follow me on YouTube on Dolly's World.
Wow. So guys, that was What Did Dolly Wear right here at Elja Africa. Thank you so much guys for giving us audience from now till the end. But I have a little quiz for Dolly before we go.
Of course.
Tell us your name, where you come from in Kikuyu.
Okay.
You said you're fluent in Kikuyu.
Gitago wa Kanyi.
Wow.
Jikaraga UK. And what else did you want me to say?
Tell us your age and what you do.
Niĩ njĩtagwo wa Kanyi, njikaraga UK, na ndĩna mĩaka 32, na ndirĩ rĩu ngũkwĩra atĩa, rĩu nona gĩkũyũ gĩakwa nĩ kĩrathia, no na gĩkũyũ gũtirĩ kĩndũ itangiuga.
Wow. Nice. So I think we can end on that note. Yeah.
Nĩguo.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for giving us audience. Allow me to say a huge thank you to Haven Cottage for the amazing space they have given us, and from us to you, of course. Expect more from us. Lakini kwa sahi tunasema tuambie kwa heri na Kikuyu.
Tokuonana domuge tuonane.